Good morning. The situation in the world, the condition of the world is not something which inspires confidence. And in the last weekend, I must have received over 30 to 40 messages, emails, and phone calls asking for my assessment of the North Korea US issue. Would there be peace? Would war break out? So today we talk about the possibilities of what is likely to happen in this hot issue, which is causing concern to each and every one of us. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un is testing the waters, is brash, young, and clear. And as I discussed last time, there's nothing wrong with what he's doing because he wants to assert his sovereignty. Trump has made a break with the US old tradition and says that they do not want regime change. But at the same time, he is not willing to permit North Korea to be nuclear. This is because of the pressure of the politicians and the bureaucrats who have been trained in a certain way and who think in a certain way. Trump has imposed new sanctions and threatened to destroy North Korea. On Friday, North Korea upped the ante and threatened to discuss hydrogen bomb over the Pacific for the first time and testing hydrogen, not underground but over the ground, has disastrous consequences. The thermonuclear fission that would be released will be absolutely disastrous and the millions of people may still die, though there will not be an attack. I discussed the issue of the difference between the atom bomb and the hydrogen bomb last time. Since 1950, the relationship between North Korea and USA has never been worse as it is today. Today, the stakes could not be higher. And unfortunately for the humanity, both countries are nuclear powers today, and there's a danger of a minor intransigence, especially when both the leaders are bellicose, whimsical, and brash. Both are insulting each other. One calls Kim a madman and a rocket man, and the other calls Trump a dotard, an old senile man. So what is going on? When the leaders are unpredictable, you cannot predict with 100% accuracy what's going to happen. But let me be very honest with you, there are 5 possibilities, 5 options that I see in this standoff. One is that the stalemate continues. The US keeps on increasing the sanctions and economic pressure. Kim continues to test the missiles, stopping short of triggering a military response. The heated rhetoric would go on unabated, and there will be a tense relationship that has persisted for 40 years, 60 years, and may continue to persist for some more time. North Korea has engaged in a very rhetoric and calibrated response. He has threatened to fire missiles towards Guam, a US territory. But instead of, he did not fire at them, he launched a missile that sailed high over Japanese territory. It was a very dangerous move, but it was not as provocative as attack on Guam would have been. So naturally that did not provoke a war. And I feel that this is the new normal. North Korea keeps on shouting and testing missiles and the bombs, and USA keeps on trying diplomatic affairs and sanctions. The second option is the quiet talks take place. Now, when these two leaders are exchanging insults at the same time, back channel communication is going on. You wouldn't believe if I tell you that at one time, when India and Pakistan were talking to each other on war, Operation Brass Tacks had been ordered and it was thought that the war is on the corner. Benazir Bhutto and Rajiv Gandhi's representatives are meeting in Geneva, in London, and at other places to discuss ways and means. And the same is happening. There would be no formal talks, but the informal talks would keep on going on, because back channels in diplomacy always exist, but most of the people are not aware. Now, what happens is that the Kim sees nuclear weapons as a means of his survival and would never give them up, whatever the case may be. And USA fears sitting down with North Korea, because that USA feels that it will be rewarding North Korea for its provocative behavior. So they'll be at the weaker end. But behind the scene, dialogues which are going on could prevent a miscalculation that could lead to war, and probe for areas where the two sides might negotiate a deal. It's happening, and it's quite possible there might be. Then the third possibility, which is not very remote, I'll give it just 10% possibilities, is a Kim-Trump summit. There can be a formal summit. It's not going to happen right away, but let the matters drift, the standoff continue for a period of, say, 8 months to 10 months, and then it can happen. Don't forget, in May, Trump had said he'll be honored to meet Kim under right circumstances. And for Kim, meeting with Trump would be a major victory, because it will give him legitimacy. It will give him prestige. We are not very close to it, but Trump is a very good negotiator, very good realist, and a great pragmatic leader. So he can say, okay, let's have a meeting. The fourth possibility is South Korean mediation. South Korean new leader, new President Moon, was elected on the platform of reconciliation with North. Till now, all the leaders of South Korea were elected to fight with North Korea. This leader was elected to have a reconciliation with North Korea. I agree that the Kim's erratic behavior has dampened some of his enthusiasm, but Moon's complete administration remains committed to open a dialogue with North Korea. And in case they are successful, the mediation by South Korea can pave the way leading to the summit between Trump and Kim. And that mediation can be very useful, because then Moon would be a means of communication between Kim and Trump. And the countries would be able to talk to each other via media. This is always the best way. This is, I think, the most likely way. And the last possibility is war. But let's not forget Tillerson, Mattis, Pence, all have been saying that diplomacy is the preferred means of solving the crisis. But all of them are also saying that the military options are always there in case diplomatic talks fail. There are many military options. There can be a lightning strike. There can be a strike only on the pad, launching pads. There can be a strike on the capital. There can be a strike only on the ports. Or there can be a strike on their submarines prowling in the international waters. So none of the military options are good. Let's be very clear. But some could be catastrophic. Let's not forget North Korea has a great army of 1 million active army and artillery directed at Seoul and 10 million people within 40-mile radius of the line of control are in danger of losing. So 10 million people will die right away within an hour or two of start of war. And the military calculations are that in case China comes into it, it can be a third world war. Would China come into it or not is something we'll discuss some other time. But one positive thing of these talks is that the US economy is definitely going to gain. Are you shocked? Well, the reality is that this tussle between North Korea and USA is in fact an economic boom for USA. US Defense Ministry and the defense industry especially is getting quite an impetus from this war. I've just published an article on WordPress. The link is there on my Facebook as well. It's also on the LinkedIn that the economy of US is going to be directly impacted by the North Korean issue because US has to prepare for war. So medical industry, pharmaceutical industry will gain and will get an impetus, and the defense industry will get an impetus. And let's not forget, the largest economy in the world is US economy. And when US economy gets an impetus, the whole world would gain, at least the trading partners would gain. But in case of war, the economies would be destroyed. This gain is as long as the first four options are there. If the first four options fail and the fifth option comes into being, then it's a disaster because then hundreds and thousands of the people, then possibly millions would perish. Places will become incapable of agriculture. Places would become incapable of hosting life because of the radiation level, and that would be a disaster. So notwithstanding the fact that temporarily US economy is gaining, temporarily the world economy may not suffer. Temporarily, the only sufferer may be the economy of North Korea. But in the long run, everybody suffers. If the first four options, any one of them is there, then it's good. It's nothing wrong with that. It's just taking the attention away from other burning issues, and that's okay. But the fifth option, the option of the war, is definitely something which is dreadful and frightening. Frightening because it can degenerate into a thermonuclear war, and that can signal total annihilation of the people involved and unfortunately of the people not involved. And that's never done. We are standing on the cusp of either a total disaster or, given that the both countries have come to a negotiating table and agreed to live peacefully, one of the biggest irritants will be gone, but two irritants would remain: Palestine issue and Kashmir issue. Actually, in the world, these are the three major issues today. Let's hope none of the issues turns into a hot fighting war. Well, friends, the options are there, the ways are there. Let's see what the political leaders do, and let's see which way the wind blows. Thank you.